Greetings, everyone. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. I hope the show is going to be super interesting. I can't even say it. Many cool things are going to happen today, so sit down, stay a while. This is going to be a long show. I don't know how long Tina's going to be able to stay. Hopefully, my guest will be on shortly. So I'm going to give it over to Tina. She's got a lot to talk about for now. Let her say a couple things. Greetings. And I'll block myself.
Hi guys, I'm Tina Bird here in Southampton in the UK. Thanks for watching again this week. Call me ET Girl or Tina Bird. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now on Encounters on YouTube. So if you find Tina Bird or TA Bird on Encounters on YouTube, you'll find that I'll put my first talk up on YouTube for you to watch. Please like, subscribe, and share. Today, we're just going to talk about a few different things before we get started. We're just waiting for Tommy's guest to come on. Some things here in the news that are a bit on the low level, but they're quite big things that are actually affecting our world in a big way. Lately, it's been volcanoes. Perhaps Hapgood theory of the Earth's crust displacement is correct, because it certainly seems like it. He's on the money this week. Tonga underwater volcano apparently erupted quite abruptly and largely and affected the satellites in space above the volcano. So it's either off an EMP or some kind of sound wave or wave that's affected satellites in space, and that's the Tonga underwater volcano. Also in the news this week, a few times, Mount Etna's erupted in a huge way. So Mount Etna's in Italy has erupted, and I think they're going to be stopping flights from Spain. So please watch your news, or if you're going to go on holiday, local news for that. Also, it's been brought to my attention, more and more fireballs have been seen around the Earth. Now, I know the Earth does this in the universe, and we're at the low point, ready to come up. Hi, Robert. It could be that we're at that point in the universe, we're just stuck our head up a bit and we're just getting bombarded by all the little asteroids and fireballs. But a huge one's been seen over Queensland in Australia this week. And there's been more in Northern Europe have been seen in the skies as well. And also the Sahara Desert. Apparently a few people have messaged me about the Sahara Desert. Apparently it's got a hole in it a mile wide now. It's just sucking sand and everything in. It's not like quicksand. It's like a giant hole that's sucking everything in. What else has been going on? So hopefully we've got another guest on the show tonight. And this week I did my talk and speech and lecture in Pusey in England, and I got to meet Gary Heseltine. I know Gary Heseltine quite well. I've been in 4 issues of his UFO Truth magazine, and I've met him a few times now. So Gary has recently become an author. His book $17.99, I think you can buy on Amazon. Gary was there. I was speaking with Gary. I was first on. Gary was after me. Gary's been on Ancient Aliens and other things like that, so he's been pretty good. This book is called Non-Human by Gary Heseltine, so you can buy this on Amazon today. Gary is even politely, there you go, signed it for me. There's Gary, picture of Gary on the back. There's his book, guys. If you want to know about Rendlesham Forest incident, then UFO incidents there in the forest. There's everything you need to know. Quite a chunky book, very good value for money. Please go out and read that. Also, I had the Basis Project, a big shout out to the Basis Project there. So there you go, big shout out. That's Miles Johnson. He normally films for Sky and things like that. Runs the UFO Basis Project, and that's where I spoke this week, the UFO 2023 UFO special. And it was about abduction. There you go. So the true cost of alien abduction, the human side of abduction, and Ben Emmeline James. I've got this lovely T-shirt from Ben. There you go. So look out for that. Might be one of my giveaways on my new YouTube channel. We just posted in this week, so look up for more up and coming things on there. And hopefully we've got tonight's other guest lined up to come on again, guys. If you have, I wrote a letter to UM. So I wrote a letter to the UN about abductees, abduction, and who protects abductees, who protects our planet, what about the tests they do on us, and blah, blah, blah. As soon as I get an answer or reply, I'll let you guys know and keep you up to date. But as for now, I'm going to hand it back to Tommy and see how far we can go. But again, if you have any questions, Robert, or anybody else that's watching, please come back on the show. Let us know and we will get to you. Or if you have an answer from a previous show for us, Tommy's going to put his email address up in a minute, so you can email Tommy and let him know anything if you wish to come on the show, or if you want to ask Tommy or ask a question, please do so. Tommy, I can't hear you.
Well, hello everybody again. Sorry about that. My guest should be on soon, hopefully. He could be having some kind of small slight attack. He's been very sick. All right, now I want to get into a couple things. We're going to be talking about UFOs, abductions, and everything else that's going on in this UFO world. But I've been dealing with so many people writing letters every day for the past month. So much stuff coming out and so many more lies than truth. It's amazing. We get half truth of whatever, and people coming out, whistleblowers with Stephen Greer and stuff, all this stuff coming out. It's in Congress. Let's see if Congress says one word to us next week. They're all debating. A video that was released publicly of a bunch of fleets of ships over the U.S. something, I forgot, Homedale or something, whatever. But it was released. I don't think it was intentionally released, but they showed the radar and everything. So obviously it's something way beyond. Hold on. Just checking. So in the interim, in the past three days, I've been trying to deal with the Skinwalker Ranch, trying to get to talk to somebody there. I mean, over 2 months now, I wrote 6 letters, never got a reply. Then I've been doing a couple shows that I joined just to speak to people, which doesn't happen, but they're willing to take my money, that's for sure. So this UFO conference thing, it's good if you like general information, you like to party with people, like to be around people that are like you, interested in UFOs. But I just found out, now, when a friend of mine, Ed Grimsley, died, he told me a week before he was killed, he said they were going to kill him. So he did die, and I was supposed to buy something from him. But when he left, some other woman came into, took his place in the UFO world, taking on all his credibility, what he did, and doing good with it. I'm not complaining, but I talked to her once on the phone and decided I don't want to talk to her again, because she goes, well, nobody knows this, nobody knows that. But I said, well, what are you taking a look at? Well, we're just looking at things moving in space. I said, well, I know a lot more than that. Sorry. And I said goodbye. But I just found out in Hawaii, there's a woman, kind of very much like Stephen Greer. She takes people out a couple nights a week for $100. And then she teaches a course how to talk to aliens and get on a Galactic Confederation ship. People, are you willing, and do you really want to get on a ship? I would not know why. I mean, to talk to them, what do you think they're going to tell you that might be beneficial to you? They haven't been helping the world. So sure, there's people that came out and said, well, this alien helped them and this alien helped them. But, you know, things happen in nature and life. I mean, most religious people say God did it, Jesus did it. We got to put it on somebody, not that it was just a natural event to change what happened. Sure, your mind can create a lot of images, false images, which is called experiences, where they create these great stories of being taken on a ship and all these incredible good things happen. Not one of them has a shred of proof of anything important they said, or brought back any evidence to prove whatever they said. So, you know, my philosophy is 90% of the experience, maybe even more, experiences are programmed.
Pause you there for a second, Tommy. It was on Fox News since 2010. The government has been compiling a 1,500-page report that was released. Someone got a Freedom of Information Act against the American government, Department of Defense. And it turns out that this 1,500-page report, they've been brain scanning abductees and find out abductees have brain damage from being abducted. So all these lovely people that these experiences now, you can go or privately even better, have a brain scan and produce your evidence that you've been abducted. Because apparently you do receive brain damage from being abducted from the radiation or bacteria, whatever it is that you're in close proximity to. So all these lovely alien beings that have been coming and speaking to you, and that be interested to see your medical reports, because any other abductee that I've spoken to, take Kim Carlsberg, for example, is in pain. You're in serious pain. And me, it hurts when you walk, hurts when you stand. If you lay down too long, or if your leg hurts, your head hurts, you get nosebleeds, it's just one thing after another. So I'd like to know who these 1,500 people are, or this 1,500-page report, because who? If abduction is not real, who are they testing these scans and X-rays and tests on? So other things were mentioned as well. So another list there of what abductees go through. So that's quite an eye-opener too. So I'd like to know where they're getting that information on, who they tested that on, and that would be a good thing to follow up at some point. But yeah, Tommy, over to you.
All right. I want to bring up something, what she's talking about. I'm trying to find his first name. Nolan, Mr. Nolan. He has all his degrees. He works out of a college. The government went to him with 100 cases. He gave him every bit of information they had on these 100 people. And he came out with 75% have a problem. All right. Meaning it wasn't real. He said 10% of them are kind of like delusional, and then he said the rest are just sick. So, but he said they probably could have been abducted. Probably. All right. Now, I just saw another interview with him on Richard Dolan's site, and they were talking to him, and they put a video up and everything. People, nobody out there really wants to talk about real abduction. Travis Walton put a movie out that gave him his credibility, but the story is not important to most people. Oh, he was abducted. He was taken on a ship. What that means, people, there's ships over us taking people. The government's not talking to you about it. The UFO speakers aren't talking about it. Nobody's talking about it except Tina and I. Sure, there's UFO people come out and said they've been abducted. But trying to bring out the awareness, it's more important than anything else in the UFO world. Ships are over us every day. I film them. I just filmed 3 yesterday. The day before, my friend next door said, well, he just filmed this. This person said that. They're all over the place, people. Do you understand that? Now, who's driving these ships? Not the little Japanese people, Chinese people, Russian people. They're playing their games, but there's multiple ships above us. I went out yesterday morning and saw 5 ships in 5 minutes. This is impossible, and I'll explain it. The ship was far away, coming on my left side. It was a big ball of white light, and it was coming towards me. It was directly above me, right? And as it moved away, as it started going further in the distance, it just got bigger. And that's not normal. It would get smaller the further it gets away. And I filmed it. So, more people are filming things, and sure, everybody's going to say, oh, it was this and camera shopped and this, that, and the other thing. But there's thousands coming in out almost every week, people. You think everybody has the ability to do that on a computer? Especially design these incredible ships. I mean, check Instagram. Look at the ships that are coming out over the U.S. Navy ships and things like that. And Russia, China, all these other countries, the Philippines are releasing videos. Are they all fake? All these people have super quality computers where they can design a video like that as well. So, and then even worse, the ones that have witnesses. Are they made up? I know they're releasing that video in Africa with all these aliens come out and all these Africans are taking pictures of them and everything else. I still don't believe it's real. I'm a doubter. I like to see real proof, and the video right now can be faked. That should be worldwide evidence and proof and on every TV in the world if it really happened. All right? It wouldn't just be on TikTok. So people, or they would be disappeared already. Everybody in that video would have been gone. Now, the original story of the children coming to Africa and talking to those kids and the teacher psychically, well, they interviewed all of them.
It's called the Ariel incident, South Africa.
They interviewed them all years later, recently. And they all said they saw this alien, they saw the
Yeah.
ship and everything.
I saw
But
that.
what came
Yeah.
out of that? See, people, we want this, we want that. And more people want to get on a ship. Why? Where do you think they take you? What do you think you're going to do if you land on another planet? Go home, take a nice hot shower, and get dressed in what?
I think the biggest thing out of this, Tommy, which people totally neglect, not that one. So where are all these environmental people and scientist people? You've got people out there looking at him. NASA's taking pictures, the military shooting them down. They said that they're after origin and intent, where they're from and what their actions are. But the thing that's just bypassed everybody, it seems, and we're starstruck to see them. You can go out, like you said, any day and see them. What damage, apart from when they come into our world, they're coming in from, they got across the Van Allen radiation belt if they fly here. They're bringing radiation into the world. They're punching holes in our world. Is it taking oxygen out? Is it poisoning our oxygen with radiation? They crash into our seas. They crash into our land. Is it poisoning our water? When eclipse, they've been seen underneath the water. Do they give off radiation? Are they bleaching our oceans? Are they killing our whales? Are they killing our crabs? Are they killing our fish? Are they killing us when we swim in it? Are they poisoning us? What are the effects of UFOs coming to this world? I'd love to see the environmental impact report for that. What is being done?
Nobody wants to admit that you're radioactive. All right. And I made her buy a Geiger counter years ago, and I bought one too. And we take it out every show that we do. People, I wrote to a couple scientists to ask them how radiation could go up and down, which it can't. All right. And how it goes up and down on her. Nobody will get back to me on that. She has more problems, all the symptoms of radiation poisoning. And she goes to the hospital a lot. She has all these problems going on. But she's losing her teeth. Well, we don't know why you're losing your teeth. She's losing her hair. She's losing her fingernails. She falls down and turns black and blue half of her body. Nobody's admitting anything about it. She has the effects of radiation poisoning, people. And her dog died months ago, but the poor dog had radiation in his bones.
There you go.
You know, people, I think they might have abducted the dog with her one time. Who knows? But people, the facts that you need to know are hidden. The UFO world do not talk about important things. Hopefully, Sean's not sick right this second. I mean, I was just talking to him a little while ago. So hopefully he'll be on in a little while. But people, this person, Sean David Morton, was the top speaker in the UFO world. Every conference. He was always the narrator. He worked on the panel all the time. And he was on Art Bell's show every month. So he was really the top. He actually brought people out to Area 51 before it became popularized by fences and an army and everything else. He used to take people to watch the mothership land there. All right. He was on TV on Montel Williams and was talking to Montel Williams. And during that show, they showed pictures of his degrees and everything. And there's a government person on his show as well. Oh, this can't be real and blah, blah, blah. So he goes, Montel, I want you to come out in December. He gave him a date and I'll take you to see it. So guess what happens? In December, Montel Williams says, I can't come out there. January, he supposedly went out there, met with the 4-star general, came back and did his show and said, well, I went out to Area 51. Nothing's going on there. It's a little base and I'm friends with the 4-star general there. And that's how he dropped it. So people, no matter how famous you are, no matter how big you are, like Jesse Ventura, his show was the most important show on TV for 2.5 years until they decided that they had to take it down. All right. Now, Sean actually did a TV show called Strange Universe. My ex-partner that I did my UFO stuff with, Sergeant 18, we did a show on that. The week after that was when Phil Snyder was killed. That was the week they arrested John Ford and put him in a nut house in Long Island. And during that year, 100 people disappeared in the UFO world. So people, you think they would come out with a little more information now that it's so public, it's everywhere. And people still doubt it. People say it's fake. That's their choice. But I tell people right now, you want to see a UFO? I'll give you a simple technique. And I promise you spend 1 hour for a week, as long as the sky is clear, you're going to see a UFO. Well, we'll see satellites. I said, no, you won't. I don't want to get into it. But people, this is a real event. It's really happening. And it is bigger than anybody can possibly imagine. If Eisenhower and Truman were both involved with that, creating MJ-12, which I knew a person in, it's not where we think it is right now, people. It's way beyond that. And why are they so interested in going to outer space? Because there's a problem with planet Earth. And they want to save people. How many people do you think they're going to save? You and me? You think they care about all the poor people? Why do you think they're building these underground cities? There's a lot more in this. Sure, there's 9 races, all right, that I know that the government's been dealing with. Putin and Bob Dean actually talked about the 27 races the U.S. government worked with. So did Putin. They both mentioned 27 races. But what good things did they do? Anywhere among all this? Nothing. So, you know, when people say, well, these people are this and those people are that, well, they're all telling stories. And now we got all these old whistleblowers coming out. Why didn't they say something when it happened? Well, I lose my Social Security. I lose this. And why are they saying it when they're closer to almost dying? I mean, even the astronaut, when he came out, I had the first astronaut on my show a long time ago. He said they created the space program for him. He was on the first 7 flights, and nobody even knows who he is. And basically, I asked him, I said, well, what about UFOs? Well, they never showed a UFO here, and they never showed an alien. All right. So that was his viewpoint. I called him up about a year later because I had something going on with the ship and everything else. And I said, we got a ship. And he just hung up on me. He's still afraid to mention UFOs. My brother was in the Army. He was a chemist. And what he knew is way beyond anybody as far as weapons and stuff. All this stuff came from somewhere. Mr. Tesla is responsible for that. And everybody thinks he's the greatest, spiritual, smartest person that ever was on the planet. But he actually worked with aliens. I can go into that whole story. The most important UFO story started with the Philadelphia experiment. And that was created by Tesla's invention. So people, Phil Snyder's the second most important story. Read it. It's real. Then, if you want to know the truth, and this is a fact, and I'm telling you this straight out, go online, type alien interrogation. It's 3 parts. Part of it was shown on TV. Whitney Schreiber was on it, and he started crying. But it was real,
Sasha's
people.
So Sasha's in private chat.
Who is? Hold
Sasha.
On. Let me get into the chat. Where's my private chat? Oh, here it is. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Tommy's just speaking to one of our friends that comes on, and he says he's just speaking to him.
There he is. He just came on.
Private chat. There you go.
Greetings. Sorry about that.
Hey, how you guys doing?
I'm just hoping.
What have you been up to, Sasha?
Oh, life.
Well, I'm not sure if you heard earlier at the beginning there. I've given a speech, and I've also wrote a letter to the United Nations this weekend. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them, and I shall let everybody know their response to my letter.
Okay.
But I mean, Tommy, you're just kicking about the dirt. We've spoken about volcanoes and hi, John.
Greetings.
Just talk about a few other things. Is there anything particularly you'd like to say or talk about or subject?
I just want to say hello. It's been a while. That's all.
It's been very long
greetings, Sasha. Now, I want to say this, people. Anything could happen to Sean right now. All right. He was released out of jail because he's dying. All right. He just finished another book. He sent me all his books. His books are the most important in the UFO world because it explains from the Philadelphia experiment up to now what's been going on with all the governments, Russia, China, United States, in detail. And he talks about all the things. And there's inside information that if you read it, you might learn a lot about what's really going on. I knew him for a long time when he got convicted of a false charge, 150 false charges. Many people believed it. There was not one witness in his courtroom, not one piece of paper proving anything he did. The sad part is he's a sovereign citizen, and he was helping people become sovereign citizens. And that means in court, you can't bring a lawyer in and you can't speak for yourself. So he was railroaded into jail. All right. And they did everything they could to try to kill him in jail, people. And this is a real story. This is a real UFO person. This isn't somebody that likes to tell somebody else's story and make money off of it. And they blamed him for stealing millions of dollars. He never had that money. I was in his house. He lived in a railroad house with his wife and his cat. I mean, he wasn't a millionaire person ever. If he was, he would have had a couple movies out. I mean, he's still trying to work on that before he leaves this planet. But his story is incredible. What he has to offer to the UFO world is beyond all these speakers. So does UFOs. So the government's working with them. The only part that's bad is they take people. They take their children. They eat them. All that. Are they talking about that? No. Oh, the good aliens are going to talk to us. Watch the movie V. Watch it, people. If you never saw it, watch it. It's exactly how it would go down if they came down and said, oh, we're here to help you. Really? Help us what? Become smarter? Become spiritual? What can they help us do? We can't work as people together on this planet. And we're going to work with another race that eats us and abuses us and everything else. Oh, they don't hurt. Stephen Greer says they never hurt people. Never? Really? I was in this I started my UFO world when I was in 1958. By the time I was 19, I was working with women that were abducted and lost their children at 8.5 months pregnant. I saw the sonograms and whatever they call them, and I watched the things. The one girl was allowed to see her child a year later, one time, and said, you'll never see your children again. But many women were losing their children, and nobody even cared. I wasn't writing books. I wasn't going around the world. I was helping them. I was using hypnosis to help them see some of the information that they didn't know what happened on the ship and things like that. Tina's supposed to have that done. And she might get some information that she never knew. But I mean, Bud Hopkins, one of the most famous writers, he wrote, I don't know how many books on abduction. All he did was work with abductees. Fine. But he wasn't a good hypnotist, first of all. And I know people that worked with him being hypnotized. He couldn't figure out, because he wasn't spiritual, and I hate to say that. And he couldn't deal with entities and all the other words that come in when you hypnotize people. So his stories are pretty vague. The only story, his last story before he died, was about when the ship came over New York City, pulled this woman out of the hotel, and Congress was on the Arizona Bridge watching it. All right?
Yeah, two policemen spotted it as well. 2 policemen saw it as well. I remember that.
But I met him twice, and twice he walked away the second I walked up to him. Everybody's afraid of me, people, because I only deal with truth. And the lies will be destroyed instantly. I was at a UFO conference, and this lady was channeling Thomas Jefferson. And all these people were asking questions. I walk up to her and said Thomas Jefferson had slaves, and she ran off the stage. Just like that. I can go in a couple stories like that. People run. I met what's his face? It channels the deity. Oh, it starts with an S. Oh, he channels this being when he talks all the time. Well, I met him. There was like 10 people before me. I got up to him. Oh, I'm done. I can't answer no more questions. And he ran out of the room. So, I can go on about multiple names, but I don't want to go there. We got problems because truth is not coming out in the UFO world, and people aren't looking for what should be looked for. So the government's working with aliens. We know that. Russia's working with aliens. We know that too. But is it going to help you and me get your paycheck for the next week? Get food, which we're going to slowly losing? Why UN Agenda 21 is in full swing right now? There's reasons for everything. Don't say, well, nobody knows that. And anybody that doesn't know anything will say nobody knows. Because they don't know, nobody else knows. Tina knows more than anybody else out there about abduction. I know more about aliens and things that they do and stuff because I've been around them. I've been around people that have been. So when these people talk, they see a ship and they write a book. They see a ship. Oh, I was abducted and now I'm a spiritual being. Really? They become superheroes. I'm not going to say all the names, the biggest names in the UFO world, claiming one guy walks around with this big wax hand. You know who that is. The alien hunter. All right, people come up with these things because they said they were abducted. Ask Tina what happened to her. She's a beautiful super being now because she was abducted, right, Tina? You got superpowers.
No, I don't have superpower. I'm not in contact with him. I'm in a lot. The only thing I'm in is a lot of pain.
Hey, Tina, what's the topic of your speech that you're going to do at UN?
So I don't. Well, I wrote them a letter. I recently, the last weekend at Pusey in Southampton. In Hampshire. Actually, it's just out of the county, I think. And it's called the human side of alien abduction. And I was the first one on, and I had lots of questions. I didn't even get time to do my whole thing. But I wrote to the UN and asking them. I said, at the end of the day, who is in charge of, because if these beings are anything like me, and they are, believe you me, these babies are half me, half them. If they're going to get miffed off one day, think, sod that, I'm going home, they're going to get in the nearest spaceship and come back here or cause havoc in the universe. Who's going to be legally responsible for that? Is it the aliens? Is it our government? Is it both? And what happens when they show up here?
So here's a question. If they do give you an answer, how likely are you to believe them?
I don't know. It depends. I want to see because I wrote to them, and not only have I asked for an answer, I've asked for guidance, booklets, and any reports and information. So I've asked for, basically, it is like, who is responsible for the human race? If I was a soldier and this happened to a soldier, people would be brought up on Hague charges. You'd have the UN out there crying out about human rights. After all, UN's about human rights. Apparently, everyone in the world has human rights apart from alien abductees. If you're an abductee, you don't have human rights. Why is that? Where is my right? Who is protecting me? Who is stopping these unknown entities coming into our space, bringing bacteria, infection, radiation, coming into our atmosphere, damaging our world, coming into our local airspace, that are danger to planes, coming under the guise of night, which is a hostile act, and taking children and people under the guise of night when they're at their most vulnerable. And who is fighting for me? And at the end of the day, there's no recourse for abductees and no protection. There's no way of stopping it. So where is my protection? Who is protecting me? These are all questions I want answered. And it's not just me, it's other people around the world. What about poor countries that people don't have the internet, don't have medical? There's a lot of things that, that there's more questions that need answering than original questions. But if the UN are about, this is how we run space, this is our protocols. If they've got protocols for meeting aliens, then they obviously thought about aliens. And if they thought about aliens, abductees are real. And what the hell are they going to do with abductees? What about people they've locked up wrongly? Are they going to be compensated? Are they going to be given their lives back? How does that affect us? So they've got lots of answers in my book, and this is my way. They've been calling me an activist lately. I'm not an activist. I'm just peed off and I'm very angry that I'm in pain. I've still got work to do. I've got a job to do. But if I broke the law, I'd be arrested for it. If I decided I want to go and start a war, go to Bosnia or Russia and kidnap somebody and take them out of their home and tie them to a table and drill holes in their legs and cut chunks out of them and take sperm and ovum and put them back, and they're in pain for the rest of their lives, they'd have me up in The Hague. I'd be under arrest. I'd have to pay compensation. I'd be prosecuted. I'd have to answer to it. Do you know what I mean? I would be the perpetrator. Cool. Why aren't they doing that for me? I'm a tax-paying British citizen who votes, and I want to know who's protecting me.
Well, unfortunately, in this realm, it's just you.
So, but more and more people coming forward that are angry. And I recently went, I'm not sure if you listened to anything recently. I recently went to one of the England's first big abduction support group meetings. It was halfway up the country. It was like a 3-hour drive for me. So I went there and everyone was like chit-chatting about it. There was a couple of astrophysicists there. There was the head of ICE, a deputy of ICER, the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Contact was there. The chairman of Birmingham UFO Group, investigators, everything that was there, but most of all abductees. So abductees, the cases that had already been looked at. And they were chit-chatting away. And then someone said, Tina, would you like to see Tina's slides in that? Because mine's a few years old now. And they're like, yeah. And I showed the picture of these the black, or the black pods with the babies in, and this woman, like, shrieked with I thought she was going to burst out crying. She was horrified, gasped. And everyone kind of looked at her. She said, I've seen them. She said, not only have seen them, I've seen them up close. She said, I didn't realise that there were babies in them. And she has the identical 2 holes in her leg from being taken that I do, both on the right leg, the same place in the leg at the same distance apart.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's something.
Yep, and I recently got my medical records that show that they found an interurinary device when I had my hysterectomy. I never agreed for anything.
Did the hospital finally cave in and show you the video?
No, they released written records.
Oh, written, which obviously can be manipulated.
But yeah, no, they had an independent person write a report on it. I wasn't allowed to see the original report. Went to my solicitors, but because other people were in the videos, doctors, nurses, surgeons, and specialists, I thought they all had to agree to their consent before they went in an operating theatre and recorded it. I gave my consent, obviously, because they do, because they recorded it, but apparently not. So because they didn't all give their consent, I can't watch that video. Apparently.
Well, I just sent a text to Kerry Cassidy. Actually, she's online. I just said if she wanted to come on, she can, because she was really close to Sean. She did a lot for him when he was in jail. Sean was able to do his show in jail for almost a year because of one person that helped him do it. I realized they only get a little bit of time to actually speak out to the real world when they're in jail.
Is she the one who let you guys use her channel for Adventures into the Strange show?
Sajel and I used her show for 9 months.
Right, okay, I remember that.
And we actually showed ships every week.
Mm-hmm.
Sajel used to give away a gift. If they listened to our show, we'd ask questions, and if they could answer it, they would get a gift. But we had more followers than anybody. I mean, we tripled what Kerry had on her show. Like in our chat room, we always had 50 people every time. In our next day, we'd be hit by 1,200, 1,300 people all the time. I'm sorry, we had a disagreement. We had a falling out, but he disappeared. And I truly feel, I'm not going to get into the details, but yeah, he got a lot of money at the end as well. So he always said to me, if the government gives me enough money, I'll work for them. So who knows? He actually worked for the government. He was a psychic reader for them. And then he said, no, I want to read for people. And they said, no, you can't do that. And that's when he left. He stopped doing it for the government. But he lived up with the most important event in UFO world ever happened. He actually saw a ship crash there. And he went to jump to touch it, and his friend knocked him down, and then the ship took off. The stories that I have been around and dealt with are incredible. Not like these stories of what the government's doing. I mean, Michael Sowell lived in Hawaii. I used to harass him all the time and say, hey, why are you attacking our government? You're from Australia. Why don't you attack Australia government? They have the biggest army base on the planet. He moved from Hawaii and he blocked me from then on. So yeah, I'm hardcore, people. I've been writing letters to Lou Elizondo for 1.5 years. And you think he has the balls to get in touch with me? I said, talk online or offline, any way you want. Now I'm doing the same thing with the Skinwalker Ranch. They wrote me a letter back. Well, what do you want to talk about? I want to give them a technique that they can film ships in a day. Real simple. I wanted to talk to them about a couple of things that are important. And, oh, well, I'm still getting no replies. I got 2 replies. Well, what do you want to say? I said, look, you're playing games. Are the government going to let you release if there's a UFO in the ground? And they won't answer anything. So, I'm paying for that site. I'm paying for Richard Dolan's site. And not one of them will talk to me. And they block a lot of things. Richard Dolan has to read every email before he puts it up as well. So, the free speech. I mean, somebody just put up Musk is going to be recognized as the #1 person for bringing free speech to the world. I don't see it happening anywhere.
No, I doubt it, because he just hired an ex-WEF executive. So if you consider that free, free speech, it's no way.
Free speech, I don't see it happening. The UFO world still controlled, people. I wish they would realize that. And these people making $20,000 to give a 2-hour talk, they don't know nothing. When you watch Ancient Aliens, those people say, well, I think this and I think that. Thinking is not important in the UFO world today. Tina doesn't have to think about aliens. They come and say hi to her. Again, this is the real world, people. And people are being abducted, hurt, and taken. Now, I wanted to bring this up real fast. Do you know how many people disappear in the state parks in the United States now? Nothing's being said. The parks don't have to release how many people disappeared in the park. There's a few books out on it. Check it out.
I think Alaska, at the last count, as just in 1 year, in one state, they lost 33,000 people, didn't they?
You know,
can't find the bodies. There's a lot of bodies to lose.
You know, in the state park, these cars drive in with their family. They set up a tent, they turn around, and their kids are gone. And they can see around the property. There's no cliffs for them to fall off or nothing like that. And if there's a cliff around them, they look down there. They're not down at the bottom of the cliff either. So they find cars and they just take them. I mean,
yeah, I saw. Is it Mr. Polaris? I can't remember his name.
There's 2 books out about it. That
he's got a Netflix series as well. I think you could watch old of his case files and that. I've been looking into it.
But you know, and I had friends in Vietnam. Not one of them talked to me about aliens. But over the past 25 years now, 3 different people talked to me. Ships were landing in Vietnam. So, you know, they take bodies. They like bodies. People, do you understand? You know, Phil Snyder's story, if you never read it, listen to it. Listen to it. He didn't kill himself. Look at his body. His hands half sawed off, his foot's blown out, his stomach's torn across his whole body. He didn't commit suicide. He was wrapped up in barbed wire. And there was no blood there. So how did he commit suicide, people? People, I know 16 people in the UFO world, all went gone, disappeared. One was a whole family that I knew all my life. People, this isn't fun and games. Aliens aren't here to teach us anything good. If they did, we'd be dealing with it. Oh, Tesla brought out free energy. Well, guess what's going to take over the world? Very shortly, AI. That came from aliens, people. It's a live entity. You will see that within a year, I promise.
I mean, that makes me laugh. So people like AI and things like that, but if we take a step back, aliens don't come from this planet. They're not human beings. They don't think like us. They don't play by the same rules we do. What makes people think that an alien is going to do what a human expects and wants, lands on the White House lawn or in the Houses of Parliament to say, hi, I'll come in peace, you just made contact. Contact has happened when they've taken people. Why do people think that they're going to act in a different way like humans when they're not human? I don't get that.
Well, it's a societal construct. It's just what we've been fed.
All right, I want to say this, people. If Sean doesn't make it, which I don't know why, but I'm sure that he'll have a reason. But I just noticed on Skype, his site's down. All right. And that's the way I was talking to him. So realize he's been out of jail for, I don't know, maybe 2 years now. He did a couple lectures. He put out 2 new books. I got all his books. I followed him forever because when I first met him, I was his bodyguard in New York City. People, he has so much to tell you if you read his books. It's a long story in detail. If you want to know how Russia was working with the United States, how we worked in space, how we fought with aliens in space, what's going on right now, all that stuff. I'm not going to go into all the details because it's not my story to tell.
Did he write The Sand of Time?
Did he write it?
Yeah.
That's his book. That's his series. He just put out the new one.
Yeah. Sands of Time.
Right.
I was just trying to get it right.
He wrote 3 other books too, and he just did. He sent me it. I don't read that fast. I didn't even get a chance to read it. It's Sean David Morton, Sands of Time. It's up to part 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's on audio. I actually ordered the audio, and it was stripped out of my computer. I cannot find it. I mean, I bought it and everything, but it's not there. So I was going to try to get him to send me that, but he sent me all his books, though. Mm-hmm. So people, I knew him for over 35 years. Maybe even longer. I'm not even sure when I actually first met him. but he's not this bad person like what the government pushed on him and made people believe about him. My best friend, Sergeant 18, is totally against Sean, hates him, and he broke his friendship with me because of that. All right. But now Sergeant 18 has changed his name, but will he come out again? People say he will. I'm waiting to see what he does and what he says. We worked together for almost 9 years. We took a leave of being friends for a couple of years, and then we got back together, and then we did the show 9 months on Kerry Cassidy's show. But in that show, we talked about everything. We showed pictures. Some of the pictures I didn't want him to put up, but he did. I let him. But again, we shot ships, not cartoons, not Tic Tacs, actual ships of things that we shot. And we didn't enhance them or anything like that. People, this world is as real as it gets in the UFO world, but do you want to be a part of it or not? You don't need to be, but just be aware of what's going down, what government people are doing, what they could be programmed to believe. All these UFO people, I'm an experiencer. They're all mind programmed. Imagine what they do with people in the government. And I'll tell you this. When I was 19, I was doing hypnosis at multiple levels. I was doing psychic implant removals. I was doing past life regressions before it was public. All right? And dealing with what was going on with these people. I'm just a nobody. I never even had a teacher. I met a person at 16. He was an army hypnotist that taught me some tricks about it. He said, never hypnotize a person on drugs because they might not come back. But he taught me a lot of things. But when I was doing it, New York City, I don't know. I got 100 calls already this morning. My phone has not stopped ringing, but it all says scam. I answered one. There was nobody there. I mean, I was trying to get a message from my hospital because I got to go to the doctor tomorrow. Everybody I know is sick, having problems. My poor dog is very sick. It's sad that the energy where it is very negative. And you got all these super famous spiritual quote people coming out. Everything's going to be great. We're going to be super light beings. We're going to be this. We're going to be that. No, you're going to be. I can't say the words on this show.
They're going to be in trouble. That's what they're going to be.
Exactly.
What gets me is, people say, "Oh, I'm already in the 6th dimension," and then I ask them, "Then what the heck are you still doing here?"
What did they say?
How did they get there then?
Okay. When they say, well, out of all the people, now, one of the most famous people, Caroline Corey, she put out 3 movies already. All right. And our last movie, she was telling people to send them their videos of UFOs. But she did a video on clones and drones and people that were walk-ins and all that. And she made it sound so good. Then she claimed she could change DNA, which is not complicated. But she said she can also levitate a piece of paper, which she didn't do. But in her interim...
I can show you a UFO in my living room. Look, there you go. That is thanks to my neighbour and friend Lynn. She picks up
I can show you now. See him right over there?
Yeah. This goes with someone else got me a yellow one. So there you go. So that's the nasty yellow one. And now I've got a UFO to go with it. But I also got this week. A crystal skull miniature purple just made for me because I like purple. There you go. So thank you for that. So I've got a little collection now. Lots of people give me little things and UFO things and cups and stuff. So thank you all guys for stopping me and sending me that and speaking with me. But it's that time of the show, Tommy. Get your Geiger counter out. We'll have a quick go of that.
Okay, here's something, people. I'm going to say this. Only 2 things could have happened. Sean got deathly sick, all right, while he was sitting there, or something even worse happened. Now, if something even worse happened, will you believe how bad the UFO world is as far as the government and FEMA and MJ-12? The only person I knew in MJ-12 is dead. He was going to give up Sargel and me something important. I'll tell you real fast. Honey, that cures every disease on this planet. All right?
Hello, Joey.
And suddenly he was dead. Greetings. People, the questions, you can put questions in there. Now, Tina deals from her truth. I deal from mine. I can talk about some of the things about Sean. I was with him a lot. I work with him on and off every year and things like that. So he was a psychic. He prophesied 9/11 in detail 1 year before it happened in New York City in front of 250 people. All right. Something happened. I got involved. They were supposed to start a Native American bank. And I lost money. Lots of people lost money, but they blamed him for it. But the person that ran the scam was a paraplegic. He flew around the he moved to different parts of the United States until the government snagged him. But he took everybody's money and put it in the bank offshore. He surrendered because the mafia was coming after him because he took $1.5 million from the mob. So he gets framed for a lot of bad things, but he helped many more people make money. All right. He helped people become sovereign citizens. I mean, you could take some information and still do something wrong with it. But then do you blame the person that gave you that information or what you did with it? Nobody forces somebody to donate or put money on a project if they don't want to. I mean, it wasn't like they were strung up, give us money and become part of our thing or we'll kill you. No, people volunteered for things. When you volunteer, you're volunteering. You're not being forced. So to blame the person that got involved with something that wasn't real or fake or something, I blamed him when I met him, when I knew him, because I said, oh, you're a psychic, you should know. But psychics aren't 100% accurate in everything they say. I mean, if they were, they would be God. But they're not. People, Tina is one of the most important people in my UFO world that I trust and agree with. My guest on is my best friend. So people.
And it's not like Tina, you're saying I think or I'm suspecting. You're actually, you're actually talking about your experience with these beings.
When we talk.
I met this year. I don't know if you're aware, Sasha. I met Whitley Schreiber from the film The Communion, and he's in his 70s now. A lovely gentleman, and he has some words of comfort in that. But a lot of people, and I also met Giorgio Tukos, I'm not sure, from Ancient Aliens, and I had a chit chat with him. And he's of the same mind as me. He asked me, he said, Tina, do you believe in aliens? I said, no, I know. He said, yes, me too. He said, and that's the difference. He said, so there's a difference between leaving, but I know, Sasha.
No, I was just agreeing. I mean, there's so many out there that just say, I think or I believe, but rarely do you have an individual that says, well, I've gone through this experience and here's my story.
Well, you know what's worse for me? When you watch History Channel, Ancient Aliens, and shows like that, and you get these people coming out. Whoa, it came in the window, and it was burning, and it looked like this, and they go on to all these emotions that they don't even know were real or not, what really happened. They make it sound like their experience. I talk about mine, and I could go into detail, and so can Tina. Tina, you want to bring out your Geiger counter or no? How are you feeling?
So,
it's red time.
This is
my second. This is my second Geiger counter. I bought it on Amazon. My first one, I think I dropped in my tea or in the sink. I can't remember now. And it's about £18, £20, something like that. There it is there. And it's called a electrical magnetic radiation tester. So there it is there. So I'm going to turn it on there. So as you'll see on the top one, it says volts per minute, volts per, there you go, on the other side there. Volts per meter, and it's 0. And there is micro Teslas. Now, I hold mine up to the screen. Only goes up because I probably put my hand near it. So yeah, see, trying to hold it away from me. Now I have a smart screen TV and it shouldn't give off any electrical magnetic signals. But for some reason today I am. Normally it doesn't give off anything. Tommy's goes off because he doesn't have a smart screen TV. Mine is actually going off for an unknown reason. Normally the top one is 0, but I'm just going to hold it towards me and we're going to see what it says today. So when you see that, it says harmful. Don't know if you can see that. So I'm giving off harmful. Can you see that right at the bottom?
Mine's the top scale. Hers is the bottom scale. Mine doesn't show
It actually
radiation.
says harmful there at the bottom. So let's try this side.
Mine's up to 200 on the top.
I mean, it's a good idea that both of you get the same product because that just shows the validity. Whereas Tommy's is not going off, and obviously Tina, yours is.
Something that used to happen, but oh, it's doing it right now, Tina. It didn't do it last week. I put my Geiger counter in front of you, and the radiation's at 40 right now on the bottom. I'm going to try to get the mirror so you can see it. So you don't think I'm making it up. Where's my light? Oh, it just stopped. You believe that? I do. Oh, wait.
I'm going to look at the best when I get a bit more money and a different type, so we get a couple different, up a bit. So I'm going to get a different one so you can, but you guys at home should join in. Everybody get one and test yourself. Yeah, I can see it now, Tommy. You guys at home, Sasha, and everybody else should test yourself.
But what I was trying to say, my radiation goes off when I put it in front of her on the screen, which is an impossibility.
Just before I go, Marco's just reminded me of something. Zabanitsa in the Ukraine, their nuclear power station is not looking too good. The Russians have evacuated the workers there last week for their protection. They're free to go to protect Russia for protection. But there is a chance that the reactor has another problem that it could explode or rupture. So we could have another Chernobyl on our hands. So I might be glowing next week or I might not be here. But just before I go, guys, look on YouTube, look up Tina Bird and look up Encounters 2023. And I started a YouTube channel. I've only put one video up a couple of weeks ago, like a short one for a minute. But I'll put part 2 of my speech up there. I'm going to put part 1 up in a bit.
I'm so sorry, people. Like I said, I don't see any action on the site. It went to yellow instead of green, which means he was on it. I won't know until he gets back to me, if he does. And if he doesn't, there's a serious problem. But, I mean, he was all for it. I told him I was up all night sending this link everywhere, every site, everywhere I know. I think I lost a couple sites in the way. I mean, I think I'm losing my LinkedIn, and I think YouTube is really closing in on me. So, people, if he pops back out or comes back out, I will do a show with him.
Next week, ask him to come back next week. I'd love to meet him and speak to him on here.
He said he only had 2 weeks. He told me he only had 2 weeks to do the show. So I don't know what's happening. This is the second week already. So I don't know where he's going. He might have to be leaving the country to go for treatment somewhere. I don't know.
That's the one, Sasha. Please share. Sorry, okay. Tommy. Sasha just shared it. Can you, Tommy,
Well, I mean, I can only put it in private chat. I can't post links on YouTube chat.
Oh.
But I did find your channel.
Tommy, could you copy and paste that and put it on the site?
Hold on.
On our comments.
Where is it?
Private chat.
Okay, private chat.
And then just put it in our comments. If everyone clicks on there, please, guys, please like, share, and subscribe. You'll be my first ones. I've got one person on there. It's over my mum and my friend. Come on, guys, show you some support. Go on my channel. There you go.
Here it is, people. I got it up.
Thank you, Tommy. Please link it. Like, subscribe, and share as much as you can. Please get people to jump on the bandwagon. It's the first thing I've ever really done. So I'm hoping to get more videos on there, and then we'll have more to talk about with Tommy. More people on the show. We'll see you. Yes, John, please, everybody, go on there, like, subscribe, and share. But I've been Tina Bird here in the UK. It's good for Sasha in America, Tommy in Hawaii, and everyone else that's been watching, John, Joey, and who else is on? Robert. So well done. I'll see you all next week, guys, and hopefully Sean will come on. We might have a bit more, or I might have a reply from the UN by then. But I've been Tina Bird for Encounters. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you, viewers, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye-bye, guys.
All right, Tina, it was good talking to you again. Take care.
It's always a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, people. I am so sorry. I hope it's not worse than anything that I could imagine, because Like I said, he was all gung-ho, wanted to do it, put up, gave me all his books and everything. So now, if anything happened to him, people, would you understand the, the dangers involved in the UFO world? I know where I'm going when I die. I'm not worried about dying. That's the least of my problems. Living is a much harder thing. My poor dog's sick as anything, and dealing with that, he's with me at least 10, 12 hours a day, half of the night. Yeah, and the doctors didn't figure anything out. To find out that if I have to get any more treatments done, I have to fly to another island. The doctors here can't do anything. So it's a trip. But people, let's get back to the main thing. Are there people out there giving you the truth about the UFO world? Drips and drabs. UFOs are above us. Yeah. So is that helping anybody? The government works with them. Obviously, the United States been working with them longer than I think any other country. I mean, when Germany was making those stupid little satellites and stuff, they had no clue. Now, I was told Billy Myers, they actually copyrighted one. They shot one of their ships down, the Pleiadians, and they actually warned. They told Billy Myers that if they do one more ship, they will attack the United States. But in the interim, the United States did make a copy of that ship and was flying it around in California. All right, they went right over the beach and everything else with it and stuff, learning how to use it and play with it. But they're not using those ships anymore. Any ship you saw from 1940s, 50s, 60s are not out there in the sky now being used by aliens, people. You think we're driving around with the same cars we used 1900? Anything even close to it? Of course not. The United States will be releasing a UFO ship of their own, probably the most deadliest weapon on the planet. It will be out by the end of the year. It already costs $40 billion. And we talk about a deficit of money. Money's not real, people, either. Do you understand that? No. Does anybody know exactly how much gold that the government owns? Or if they even tell you to go into bankruptcy? Well, we don't have no more gold. We're going into bankruptcy. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's hard to tell given the fact that America went off the gold standard in 71.
Well, you could say that, but we are still on the gold standard, no matter how you look at it. Now, I don't know if you know this, people. After the war and everything, they actually took gold from everybody. They can do it tomorrow if they feel like it.
That's the government for you.
The government can do whatever they want, people, and you should know that by now. And they do. But luckily, we're allowed to have gold. When you travel countries, trying to get a large quantity in and out of a country. There's so many things based on gold. Now, it's supposed to be oil. And now China is going to try to get us into fake money, and so is our government. They're talking about going to fake money real soon. But again, if you're dealing with computer numbers, what's it have to do with real money? Nothing. All right. I don't want to go into money because it's a disaster and it's a lie. I mean, when I met Sean, he told the story how the money market was created. When they used to just deal with gold. Shipping gold was always so easy to get robbed and taken, and they decided they couldn't send it around and drive it around anymore. They started making paper and then said, well, this is how much gold I have, I'll give you this, and they transferred it into paper. But now we're going to transfer it into a computer chip and then deal with that. But people, there's no money shortage anywhere, except the poor people. We got the money shortage of the so-called money shortage. You think aliens are here for the poor people? Yes, they are, to take them and abuse them. They do take rich people as well. Now, one story forgotten, all right, never brought to public, and I'm probably one of the only people that talk about it, because my brother's drummer was John Lennon's good friend. He played with John Lennon, all right, and he ended up getting John Lennon's ranch after John Lennon was killed. John Lennon was abducted. He was the only person I know in the UFO world that was giving a gift, per se. I don't know whether it was really a gift or not, but he was given something from an alien race. He was with Uri Geller in New York City at a conference, at a concert. And Uri Geller goes, why don't you go up and play with him? And John Lennon did. He goes, before he went up, he says, I want you to have this. I don't want it no more. He gave him this artifact that the aliens gave him. Now, John Lennon hated aliens. He admitted to seeing UFOs in New York City, but he never went any further than that. I would have loved to be able to talk with him and work with him. But again, I've been trying to get in touch with his wife. She won't get back to me. Nobody gets back to me. They're afraid of me. Nobody wants to talk about the truth. I know the government has their fangs in everybody, and people don't like to talk. Suck all my blood out. Go right ahead. Do what you need to do. But as long as I'm alive, I'm putting the truth that I know out there. And people need to know it. Whether you want to live in fairy tale land and listen to these so-called healers and spiritual beings talk about everything. And they can't talk about death, really. They can't talk about reincarnation. And they sure can't talk about the higher worlds of God. The astral plane is the only place most beings, spiritual people, and everybody else can talk about. Because once you go past that, you're beyond it, all right? You're way beyond it, all right? You don't deal with planet Earth hell, all right? This is hell, people. I know, oh no, it's beautiful. What? The ocean, the water, the flowers, the trees, which we destroy, contaminate, and abuse. So we're abusive people, and aliens are just more abusive. And here's things that people cannot talk about. They do not know. Aliens reincarnated to humans. We don't reincarnate into aliens. I was an alien in one of my first lives down here. My first life. And then I came into this planet. But I don't want to get into that. I'm aware of all my past lives. And even if you become aware of a few of yours, you'll understand what you are. You're not an alien. Alien is not your God. All right? And you should respect who and what you are. Not hurting people. That's not the way to go. That's karma. Buddha talked about karma more and brought it out and explained it. And if you don't know what karma is, really, you need to find out. Because it's what you're going to have when you die, and it's what's going to bring you back to this reality. Planet Earth and hell. Now, I don't talk about spiritual things too much because Tina is in a different place because of what she went through. But here you feel pain, see it, you can cause it, create it. You can't do that in the other world. You can't kill people in the astral plane. Normal people can't. Souls can't. God can do whatever he wants, but outside of that, the deities, they can control a lot of things. And every realm that God and Jesus talked about have little gods, I call them, which are deities for a word. And you got to go past them to get to the next world. And nobody just jumps from here to go up and see God. Hey, God, what's going on? I like the chair you're sitting on. No, it's not like that. God is not a man and it's not a female. So all these people, oh, God is a goddess, and all these other ridiculous ideas. The goddess of earth is an entity, but that's it. And on the fifth plane, which very few people ever get to go to or will ever get to go to in multiple lifetimes, there's a female deity for a form. Realize you don't have sex genitalia. You're not a sexual being, meaning male or female. You're light energy. You don't need that anymore. If you ever experience that, which Buddha was trying to teach, the bliss state, is only a starting point. I mean, being in this beautiful energy and light. Wow. So what? How long do you want to do that? Forever? Everything gets boring. Everything gets boring in time. Stay there 1,000 years. Stay there 10,000 years. You will get bored sooner or later. And if you think you could go to heaven and sit around with your family, all deceased people from planet Earth, what are you going to talk about for years and centuries? Oh, these bananas are so good. Where do we get them? Oh, or we run them up here. What are you going to talk about? What do you think you're going to talk about? The delusions
See,
man
for most
accept.
people say that I think it's a comfort. It's a comfort thing for them because they don't know how to deal with the reality of what's going to happen after they leave this realm.
Well, it's a programmed idea.
Yeah.
And people learn to accept it. You got nothing else. All right. Now, religions, there's over 2,000, and only 3 of them have the most population on this planet. Christianity has 2.5 billion people. Muslims have 2.3 billion people. That's the biggest percentage of the planet. Now, you got 2,000 other religions to split all the rest of the people in, and then you got atheists who don't believe in anything. So realize, where's spiritual truth in any of this? If you understand past lives, it would help you understand reality of truth. Not the reality of man's thinking, scientists, what they're doing. We're changing our reality, yes. We're cloning humans and animals. We're doing a lot of horrible things. But man thinks they're God. And always did. Except when a God proved they were more powerful than the person. So when we go into that field, who's a God on this planet? Who has power? Who has abilities to do anything? I was doing a show for a year, and Sean was on it too. We each had our own channels. But this one lady claimed she was one of the top psychics. And I said, oh, what can you do? I can do anything. I said, go to a casino and walk out with $1 million. Oh, no, I don't need to do that. She's sitting there smoking a cigarette. It shows you where her level of awareness is. You know, people talk, people dream, people fantasize. When it comes down to you have 125 years max to do everything, experience everything you can. And hopefully you will try to experience the things you want to. I have experienced everything I could possibly want and everything I possibly didn't want. So guess what? There's nothing else that I want to go to or not. Pain, suffering, all that, fine. Out of body, okay. Meeting angels, deities, Bigfoot, aliens, so what? Now it's getting closer. My body's falling apart. I just hit 70. Things don't get better. Just that you're closer to leaving this planet. And if you don't understand that, fear and hate, anger all step in. Aliens don't know anything about the spiritual realms. Or what I was bringing up. Everybody should watch the alien interrogation. It's real. Now, what that alien is saying is what he's been programmed to understand and know. Because he says one person's going to be responsible for destroying the planet. And they were trying to force him to get him to say who that person was. And he kept saying, I don't know, I don't know. But people, when they find Bigfoot, what do you think they've been doing to a Bigfoot? Anyone in captivity? You know, we harass and try to torture things and to make them say things like what? What's really going on? Like they know. Bigfoot is an alien. They were brought here. The same as humans were brought here. People, do you want the truth? Do you want to think, like in the UFO world, because of Zecharia Sitchin, a big percentage believe in the Anunnaki as being gods and creating us, which is so far from the truth, a twisted lie. And the giants, so what? Big, small, doesn't matter. It doesn't change who and what you are. The giants lived here. It was the book of Enoch, and it was taken out of the Bible. They didn't want to talk about giants except the one story in the Bible about it. But again, they're all dead and gone, aren't they? All the Egyptians, all the Mayans, the Aztecs, all the temples, cities, everything is vacant. Why is that, people? Because they were good and spiritual? The aliens that work with the Mayans, Aztecs, and Egyptians were giving them false information. The same as our scientists or our government. They believe half of the things they get from the alien races that they're working with. Because they make weapons with it. Outside of that, helping the human race, they're not doing it. Why? Why do you think weapons would be better than having eternal life? Well, you got people like Musk, Gates, and spend millions and millions of dollars to live forever. Sure, who's going to go out and spend $100,000 for a pill? Rich people. Oh, I take that, I'll live another 100 years. Wow, give me the pill. Why would you want to stay on this planet that long? Are you going to see your family dead? All your family dead? All these people you know die? Is that going to make you happy? I'm 70 and all my family's gone. 90% of my friends are gone. Guess what? I'm only 70. If I live to 100, there'll be nobody I know on this planet. Except new friends, which would be looking at me as an old man. But people, Wake up. Aliens are not good. Go to a conference and listen to the bull stories you're going to hear. Well, yes, they're working with the government. Project Bulu, Project Pegasus. They all had reasons, people. They were saving rich people. The wars were to protect certain people. They were allowed to build underground cities. You know, wherever there's an army base in the world, there's an alien base next to it. Now, an ex-friend, all right, he was killed last year around Christmas. John Edmonds. I was out to his ranch. His ranch was much more exciting than the Skinwalker Ranch. Because I brought Kerry Cassidy out there and she filmed the ship right over his house. Person I brought out there shot pictures of aliens. I was with a person, I brought him because he had a $30,000 camera and he couldn't get it to work when the alien popped up in front of us. People, you know, it's all real. But when you try to prove it, especially in the UFO world, which, like, I can tell you, something about UFOs. They can sense us. They know our emotions from being up there even. Because I don't want to get into the spiritual end of that, psychic energy and all astral energy, but they can sense what you're thinking, what you're doing. Some alien ships say, go ahead, film me. So what? Some ships, oh, you're not going to film me. I could tell you. You think you're watching this. Okay, you're watching a satellite going across the screen. And here it comes, all right? It's coming across the screen. And then it's right there. Let me get my camera. I got my camera. Where'd the ship go? Just like that. All right. As other things, I saw a ship. I didn't have my camera. I was outside picking the garbage up, but I kept the laser in my pocket. So I pulled the laser and hit the ship with it. It was a gold ship, gold light. I hit it with a green laser, turned green. For about 3 or 4 seconds. Kept going. I hit it again with the laser. It turned green again. By the third time I hit it, it just disappeared. People, things like that aren't satellites. It's not a drone either. But see, the government has to push things out to make everything go to that. Drones. Oh, it's the Chinese. Balloons. Nothing's balloons in the UFO world, people. Roswell was not a balloon. All ships are not balloons. They're not flares. I mean, oh, it's just lightning. Oh, it's this. It's excuses. John Ford, who's in the nut house in Long Island, was framed. He had uranium. He went out to a UFO site, filmed the ship crash. I saw it. The best video ever taken. He was put in jail. And then they said, well, we've got to put him in a nut house because we couldn't let him release that video. He sent 4 copies around the world. If he dies, the video gets shown. But in the interim, they said he had a barrel of uranium and he was going to put it in toothpaste and politicians. Oh, I'm going to walk around with a bottle of uranium and stick it in people's toothpaste. Really? What magical field is he protected by for him not to get radioactive, if that was even closely true? But to have a barrel of uranium, where did he get it from? John Bargain store? On sale? People, the stories you fed and believe are ridiculous. Listen to any experience that come out and tell their story. I knew one closely, and her story got better every year. I never agreed with her, anything she ever said. Started off, oh, she was abducted. Oh, then it was like, oh, the alien picked him up like a surfboard under her arm and went on a ship, and then she was brought up to the top, and it was Jabba the Hutt that was the alien captain, and you know, the stories get better and better. But what reality do they have to do with this world? Truth is only important to this world that's truth of this world. Truth of the astral plane, mental and soul plane, and things like that have nothing to do with this reality. Everything you learn on this planet is based on the physical reality. We have multiple dimensions. I'm not saying that's still part of the physical reality. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and blah, blah, blah. All right. When you go beyond that, that changes. The truth here is not the same on the astral plane, and the astral plane is not the same truth on the planes beyond that. Each one you're letting go of the stories, the programs, and the ideas. Because they're all keeping man stagnant. What the human race could do if they were aware and working together. And they even know that if we work together, we could create something even better. And why do that? Then we'll have to give up our power. Man lives on power, money, and sex. Nothing else. Look at Musk. Look at Gates. Look at Putin. Look at Putin's almost the richest person on the planet. Do you know that? But he gave a speech 3 months before Trump was elected. I don't hear people talking about it. He came out and said, Mr. Trump, I want you to tell the world what really happened at 9/11. He said, I want you to tell the truth about what the government's doing with aliens. 3 months before Trump was elected. Then he said, I work with 27 alien races. 2 of them want to destroy the planet. Now, noted, most armies, including the United States Army, said they work with 27 alien races. I know 9. All right. And those 9 are not beneficial or useful or helpful. They're the most dangerous things to this planet. All the other ones, maybe they're a little bit better. But I'll tell you one race. Now, people mix the tall whites with the Nordics. People that meet with the Nordics, and I did a UFO conference with somebody that said he worked with the Nordics. He said one thing, they pulled him out of a car and saved him. I said, name one other thing they did. He couldn't name one other thing. Oh, you work with them and you can't name anything else that they help you with? You know, it's like you want somebody to follow you. You give them some money, you give them food, and suddenly they'll listen to you. Save somebody's life. Oh, I'm indebted to you. So when he talked about the Nordics are not good. They're accepted as good because they're tall. They're usually in white robes, blonde hair, blue eyes, and about 7-8 feet. But they're not good. They travel on reptilian ships. And so do the mantis. And mantis are much more powerful than the reptilians are because there's always a mantis as the captain of the ship. I can go on about the truth, about people I work with. A little girl that was on the ship with her mother. And I got her to talk to me privately and hear what she saw and what she experienced. You know, children don't lie much unless they're going to be beaten up or something like that. But again, the truth's out there. Do you want it? Are you looking for it? Let me just check out Skype. I think Sean's disappeared somewhere. Man, it's so sad. Yeah, people, I wrote this, sent this everywhere. I put his book up and, something happened. I hope it's not worse. But I will find out in time. People, I do not tell lies. I do not make up stories to entertain people. I don't write to entertain people. I finished one book. I just need to get it edited. It's for women only. I want to get it out right away because women need to know the truth as well. Not about aliens, but about life. And I'm going to do a book just for entertainment. I never did that. I mean, I wrote a book on how to see UFO, a field manual. Anybody wants it, please email me, hawksblood1@aol.com. I'll put it up there. I'll put the site you can email me on. I don't know why I got a space. Hold on, let me see if this goes up right. Oh, I got messed up. It's Truth and God only together. There's no space in there. Sorry about that. I'll do it again. All right, that's my important site. My other one that I deal with and stay on all the time is Hawksblood. All right, people. I'm not going to go any further. I'm just kind of down because my guests didn't come on. I was afraid something could happen, and something bad could happen. I mean, I was doing Facebook, putting my links up, and the screen came up, said your computer is locked. Everything's locked. Call this number and do that, and blah blah blah.
Sounds like a ransomware.
Yeah, and I went back into all my protectors and all my blocks and all my sites that are supposed to protect me. We went through all of them. They only found a couple of bugs, which they took out, and I got the show up. I didn't think this show was going to go up. He does a lot of work with Carrie Cassidy, and she brings him on a lot, even when he was in jail. But I thought I could bring him on. I worry that the government watches everything he does, watches everything I do. They were forced to let him out of jail. But again, people not like Stephen Greer. Oh, they offered him $4 billion to walk away from them. If they offered Sean $4 billion, he would have done 10 movies. And then walk away from everything. But again, people, when you exaggerate something, the old fish, oh, my fish was that big. They caught a sardine. But, it's the real world, people. People don't like to admit that they're nobody. We are all nobodies, people. We're just one grain of sand on a planet filled with beaches. And you think you're important because you got money. The Constitution of the United States was created by people that were rich. Money is the evilness that Mr. Satan creates on this planet. And people accept it. All right. Again, I'm not going to go much further. I'm just glad you got this. I can't say anything until I find out what happened to him. If not before, I will do another show, a spiritual show, hopefully by the end of the week. But I will put on that if I hear anything what happened to Sean. Anything that happened. And if he died, then I'm going to have to hold that in my awareness forever. All right. Like I said, 16 of my best friends or people that I knew good in the UFO world disappeared. One whole family disappeared. I'm going to tell you that story before I leave. When I was young, I used to play with this friend of mine. And we pretend we were building a spaceship and everything else. Well, many years later, I was at a UFO conference. And I saw this guy. I knew him. I could judge people from childhood to adulthood, what they would look like. And I said, you Bob, and I'm going to say his last name. Are you Michael? Which was my brother's name. I said, no, I'm Tommy. Oh, Tommy. And he was working for NASA. He goes, what he does, he's got a machine. He can build any part that they need for a space shuttle. He creates it. So, and then I said, you're at a UFO conference? He goes, yeah, I like to understand it and follow it. So I said, come over to my house. I'll show you pictures and stuff of UFOs. It was about a week later. I was at Sargel's house, and we brought him over. And we're showing him pictures of UFOs and everything else. And he goes, well, you know how they make a stealth fighter disappear? He explained it to us. And then he goes, well, he was warned he can't get involved in the UFO world. I suddenly said, wow, that's not good. And he goes, how about we create a society, secret society somewhere. He had a lot of money. He goes, we'll build a place, secluded. We won't have to go into the city because I can make anything we'll need. I said, well, that sounds great. It was like, I think it was a Friday or a Saturday, not sure. He goes, well, how about we have a party, have a pool party, and we'll talk about it. I said, great. I said, well, let's do it Wednesday. Call him up Tuesday night. I got his machine, please leave a message. So I call him up Wednesday and says, please leave a message. His family disappeared completely. Called the school up to see if his children were there. They said the children didn't come in. The whole family was taken. All right. He wrote a book, and it was the movie. Trying to think what movie it was, but it was about a bomb destroying the planet. At the very end, this guy's riding a bomb. It was partially a comedy. I don't even like the guy that did the movie, but he wrote that script and it was stolen, and the movie came out like 2 months later. But again, when I never heard from him again, I called the number. I worked for the phone company. And it kept saying, please leave a message. All right. And what I would leave on the message is, I know you have him, let him go. I would do that almost every other week. So I checked the number out in the phone company. Non-existent number. So they took the number, made it disappear, but kept his answer machine on it. And it lasted about a year, and I finally gave up calling it. And I said, I know they must have him. I could go on a couple of stories like that. How I said I lost all my friends.
That movie, by the way, it's called Doctor,
What was that?
that movie, by the way, is called Doctor Strangelove.
Right, that's the movie. You're right, exactly. But again, people, this is not fun and games. And if you think getting on a ship would be fun, look at Tina. She's very sickly. Guarantee she would have wished this never happened to her. No matter how famous she becomes, it's not going to solve her problems of her body being sick and what's going on. People, if you believe Mr. Stephen Greer is going to put you in a group of people watching ships in the sky, which anybody can see, and start talking to them, and they're going to bring you on the ship to show you what? The Galactic Federation is the most dangerous. I don't want to destroy your ideas, but it's a program. Everything they ever said in the past 40 years have never come true. It's not 40 years old. I think it's about, I'm trying to think what year that first came out. It's a great program. It's a certain frequency. Oh, I'm at Ashtar Command. Really? Tell them to come down here and say hi. People, you're so desperate you'll follow anything. But guess what? You'll follow the truth. You'll get closer to what you truly desire and came to this planet for. Follow anything else, you'll never get there. You'll stay here, reincarnating over and over.
Yeah, basically what you just said. You have to keep coming back again.
You don't want to come back here. It's not getting better. We're still massive killers. We're still fighting. Still crime and abuse is to the highest level it has ever been. And that's why I wrote a book for women. People, it's time either to wake up or not. Live in this delusion. It's going to crash. I say you roughly have less than 7 years to figure out where you're going to go, what you're going to do when you die, and what's going to happen in between that. Well, it's up to you, people. Then listen to those UFO people and see what positive information they can give you about life and death. Because you're not going to live long. 125 years goes by. The older you get, the faster it goes by. When I was 40, I didn't want to live to 50. When I was 50, I said, I'll never live long. And then I lived to 60. And when I was 60, I said, I don't want to live any longer. And I lived to 70. So it's not pleasurable getting old. And you're not going to see better things happen. I mean, even when it comes to children, families can't stay together. They're fighting. And you think living here is beautiful? You work all year to get what, 2 weeks vacation? Does that sound fair? It's a program system unjust to normal, good-hearted, compassionate, poor people. I won't say rich people because they're in a different category. But that's it for today. I'm glad you came on, Sasha. It was always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I am so sorry Sean never showed up, but it's either going to be good or bad news. Either way, it's not going to be good news because he didn't come on. But he's alive and well. We'll be okay. We'll see. But government implants army people with chips. Do you know that? Anybody now? And that chip can take somebody out anytime they want. All right. But they had him and they tortured him and they let him out. So they didn't want to kill him. Too much publicity is bad. When Fred Bell was on Jesse Ventura's show, the first thing Jesse Ventura said to him in the beginning of the show, aren't you afraid the government's going to come after you? And Fred Bell said, no, I work for the government. And Jesse Ventura said, well, what about me? And so you're too mainstream for them to take you out. They did the show. It was on the HARP system. And all of a sudden, guess what? 2 days later, he was still in the hotel room when Fred Bell was killed. All right, people. With that, the lies that you hear are probably just that. The truth that you hear are even worse. So with that, people, enjoy the rest of the day. Hope you got something out of today. Questions, please email me. I'll put it up there in the chat room. I only deal with the truth. I answer all my replies, email, good, bad, or indifferent. But till then, peace in your journey. Don't stop until you find the truth. Ever. Don't accept anybody else's either. Thanks again, Sasha.
All right, Tommy. Thanks for your time as always. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, people.
Raise my eyes to the wild blue yonder. They can't believe what I see, and it makes me wonder why it's falling down.